Hi, this is Susan Phelan, and I've got Loralee Leavitt with me here. Hello, Loralee.
Hello.
That's almost a tongue twister, but I like it. Loralee Leavitt.
My husband's name is Laramie, so we're Laramie and Loralee Leavitt.
Laramie and Loralee Leavitt.
Yep. Yep.
You have what sounds like just the coolest book, and I can't wait to take a look at it. Candy Experiments.
Yeah, it's really fun.
And how did this come about?
When my daughter was 4, we'd gone trick-or-treating and we got a huge bowl of candy on the fridge. And one day she says, "Mom, can I put some Nerds in water?" And at first I didn't want her to because it sounded wasteful and messy, but she did, and the water turned purple. And a couple of days later she wanted to again, and then it hit me that she wanted to destroy all of our candy. And I didn't want her to eat it, so, win-win. So we covered the table with bowls of water and we just started throwing candy in to see what would happen. And we started seeing, how the candy had skin that would peel off, and M&Ms, the little M's will float to the surface. Lollipop sticks will unwrap. They'll unroll when they get wet. And the next year, they wanted to do it again, and I figured I need some more tricks if we're going to keep them interested. So I started turning to science friends to come up with more and better ideas, and started drawing on my own science background, and realized during the process that we were teaching science. We had science principles that we were seeing, and I thought they would make great science experiments.
I love that idea because I love science. I have a biology degree, and people that don't like science don't realize how much a part of our lives it is. So
Yeah.
you were discovering right there that it's a part of our life. And I think that's really, really cool. So you put them together. How long did it take then from, let's go by, how old was your daughter? She was 4 when you started. Halloween, 4.
Yeah,
and when you finished your manuscript?
Well, she's almost 10 now. Okay. So it's been kind of a 5-year process. We had a couple of years of just playing around and creating the experiments, and then I was writing them up, and then there was the process of finding an agent and getting published, and then editing the book, and now here we are.
So you have an agent.
I do.
And that can be something that people just are so jealous over.
Yeah.
How did you get your agent? How did that come about?
I just started contacting people. I started by going to a conference and writing all of the agents that were there, and I thought that surely one of them was the right person for me, but it wasn't. So then after that, I went back through email lists for nonfiction writers and started writing to all of the agents that I could find in those lists. And one of those names had the name on the bottom of the screen of this other person, so I contacted her, and she loved it. And so I signed with her.
Wonderful. That is really cool. And it's published by Andrews McMeel.
Yeah.
Andrews McMeel, and they published the Calvin and Hobbes
Yeah.
series.
They're actually quite a big publisher, and they published a lot of things. But I never would have thought to approach them with a children's book if it weren't for my agent. So I'm very glad to have found her.
And this is, I'm going to see if you can it's beautiful inside. It's so kid appealing to have dancing marshmallows here. Can you make marshmallows dance without touching them? So okay. First tell me about that one since now everybody's going to be curious.
Well, the dancing marshmallows is kind of an experiment I was trying to do that went a little bit wrong. We put marshmallows in a bottle and we were trying to pump air in to make the marshmallows kind of shrink because the extra air is pushing them in, the extra air pressure is collapsing the marshmallows. But the bottle wasn't properly sealed. So we were pumping the air in and the marshmallows would shrink, and then the air would leak out and they would expand again. Well, that became pretty cool because if you do it like with Valentine hearts, then you've got this beating heart in the bottle. So it was an accident, but it was really fun.
Very cool. I want to hear about tell me another story from your book, another experiment.
Another experiment. Well, one of our favorite experiments is the acid bubble test, where we have sour candy and we're testing it for acid because acid is what makes a sour taste.
Okay.
So every food that tastes sour contains acid. Well, you've probably done the vinegar baking soda volcanoes,
yes,
where you're mixing the baking soda with the acid and you make a lot of bubbles.
Yes.
You can do that with candy too. It's not as spectacular, but anything with acid in it will make bubbles in baking soda. Well, the most fun one is warheads. They're covered with acid that is so sour. The acid is really concentrated. And when you drop that in water with baking soda in it, it just makes all these bubbles. So that's one of the experiments we do when we demonstrate these at the USA Science and Engineering Festival in Washington, D.C. And we give the kids the warheads and they drop them in and they watch the bubbles and they're just amazed.
All right, I want to hear about this. So you went to a big conference called, say it again?
The USA Science and Engineering Festival.
USA Science and Engineering Festival. And kids were there, so this isn't for the adults to go learn about science and engineering.
This was like a nationwide celebration of science. It started by a man who's very worried that science education is declining in our classrooms and kids are not turning to science. Okay. So he's hoping to spark a national interest in science. And so we went out to demonstrate at this festival. So they had more than 100,000 people throughout the day coming into the Washington, D.C. Convention Center. It's the hugest building I've ever been into. And it felt like all of them came to our booth. We were just swarmed the whole time. And so we were showing kids all of these really cool science experiments with candy, and they just loved it.
So all day you were at a booth giving them nerds and letting them throw it into water with baking soda.
Well, yeah, we did warheads and baking soda, and we did squashing marshmallows to see if they can make the marshmallows sink for a density lesson. And we weigh candy to find out how much sugar is in all the other foods and drinks that we have. And we did chromatography to separate out all the colors from M&Ms into rainbows.
Chromatography. That was like one of my favorite things to do.
Brown M&Ms are really cool for chromatography. Yeah, you see you see like 4 different colors emerge.
Oh, I'm going to go home and get some M&Ms and do some chromatography.
Yeah.
What a cool thing.
Thank you.
Let's ask one more question. What's the most maybe complex experiment or complex theory that they're able to get?
Well, complex. We had to talk about some pretty complex stuff because candy itself is not simple. So one of the words that I like in there is hygroscopic, that sugar absorbs water. So we have an experiment where a marshmallow, which is hygroscopic, absorbs the water from the bread, so it dries out the bread and makes the marshmallow a little bit squishier. So that's kind of fun. The hardest one to do is pouring a density rainbow. But when you do it right, it's really cool because you can actually layer colored candy water of different densities into a rainbow in your glass.
Well, I wish I could just be talking to you forever because my science geek is coming out and this is so fun. Thank you so much, Loralee Leavitt, with your husband Laramie. Candy Experiments. And you can find this at Barnes & Noble.
Some Barnes & Nobles have it. Amazon has it.
Amazon.
King's English has it. BYU Bookstore.
Oh, King's English, BYU Bookstore. Wonderful, wonderful places you can find this book. So go get this and get your science geek on. Thank you, Loralee.
Thank you.
This is Susan Phelan. We've been speaking with Loralee Leavitt for Utah Book Scene. Thanks for watching.